has a shot, but it goes the other way.
Libas.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit older than you.
And I'm not touching this topic. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Mediocre, mid-table, rabble.
So I just want to be able to talk as much
If we play a night game, he has to turn the bloodlines on.
No one would have believed that he would keep his job for as long as he had.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week Al's Alumni Edition. Tonight joining us is I didn't know this amount of money existed in football transfers, a 50k signing for Bristol Rovers. It's joining us, it's Mr. Chris Lyons. Chris, how's it going, pal? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? 50k.
Not bad, not bad.
50k.
Honestly,
what a bargain that was.
It really was. It was one of those things where I kind of went, because we signed you just as we got into League One, and I remember thinking, God, is that where we are now? Are we in like the 50k signing realm?
I think that was kind of what I thought, because it all went through quite quick. But then when I sort of got there and obviously like looked around the club and went in the stadium, and I was like, shit, like they're not even going to know who I am. Like, I think probably for my first like 5-10 games, that probably showed in my performances, because I was just like a nervous wreck for a bit. But yeah, we got there in the end, didn't we?
Well, so let's talk about the early doors then, the early games. So Bristol Rovers, you were there for virtually all your career until you signed for us, right?
Yeah. So I made my debut there. So I think probably maybe 19. I think it was probably 6 or 7 seasons I spent there. And I think the season just before I left was when we were both in League One, but we actually got relegated that season.
Right.
I think we played Wednesday, like our last game. I think we actually went down when we played Wednesday. I think we drew 1-1 down at our place. But obviously, after that, it was the start of the next season when obviously a little bit of dialect with Megson started. And then, just sort of up and move and off you go, like kind of thing, which obviously I've not done too many times in football, but that was my biggest kind of, like you're moving 3-4 hours away, you're going to, one of the biggest clubs for me, obviously, still like in Europe, really. And it kind of, like I say, it didn't really all sort of sink in until probably 5 games in or whatever, and sort of found my feet. And obviously, lucky for me, we had a good season. So
so I'm just trying to work it out. So was Megson in charge? Did he get you in? Or
Megson brought me in. And then obviously he sort of probably had about 80% of the season, didn't he? And then he just sort of, everything happened, which, still not, if you're going to ask me what did happen, I'm not still like 100% of the correct answer, but
I think we'll get to that. We'll get to it.
And then obviously Dave Jones came in, didn't he, for like probably, was it like about the last 10 games on it, maybe 12 games? Something like that.
It was 12 games. There was a period like normally we ask a lot of players that played for us in League One. We normally go straight in and say, did you feel the pressure to get promoted when you came in, or did it take a few weeks for you to go, hang on, shit, this isn't a peanuts club. This, you've gone from playing in front of 6,000 to 26,000. Yeah, and there must have been a point where you went, if we don't get promoted, there's going to be a bloody riot on here.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, like I think I signed like the second. I think my first game was like Bournemouth away, and I think we lost that, and then we didn't have the best start, did we? To be fair, like we were sort of picking up the odd draw every now and again, and then we'd lose a couple, and I think that was when we sort of. I mean, that was down to us as players then to like look around the dressing room and say, apart from, obviously Charlton won it that year, and obviously the other team from the red and white side, we've got the best change room in the league. So there's no excuses, to be fair. So the pressure was on, but I think sort of like after Christmas and that, we just we couldn't stop winning, could we? And we really hit the ground running. And once we were in that kind of that mode, we just couldn't stop winning. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an element of, we had a poor start, went on a wonderful run, and then it's well documented. Gary Megson got his marching orders just after the local derby, in which we won 1-0, and to get to get sacked after a game like that, just does seem mental. But I think the prior 12 games we'd only won 3 in 12 or something to that effect. So the pressure was already mounting, and a lot of rumours that Gary had already lost his job before that game. Did you ever get a sniff of that when you were there?
Yeah, no, I think I can't remember. I had this conversation on another podcast. I'm pretty sure we were playing Colchester away, and obviously we normally all go out, warm up, and we come in, I don't know, say 2:45, 2:50, do our last few bits and play the game. But for some reason that day we came in about 5 minutes earlier. I think we kind of, I don't know whether he said, I want you back in here at 2:50. Obviously it's a long time ago now, but yeah, we were back in there and he sat everyone down, all the staff were in there, and it's tough for me to remember exactly what he said, but the gist of the conversation was that kind of him and the chairman had obviously had some kind of falling out. And that, he wasn't happy, Megson, at the time, like, for sure. Whether that was the right time to have that conversation with us, obviously, in the dressing room beforehand, I don't know. But we sort of just obviously were focused on the game, as you do. I think we knew something was going on. But obviously, I think the next game after that was obviously the derby game. So, when we won that, we kind of didn't expect that decision to be made sort of off the back of that. You just beat your local rivals who you're chasing down for promotion, and then he's sort of. But I remember him doing like a lap of honour, was it, after the game? But I can remember him sort of staying out a little bit longer, like doing the old badge tap, clapping the fans, and I think he probably knew that was it, didn't he? But us as players, we kind of. You don't expect that to kind of happen, but I don't know. Did it? It was like the next day, wasn't it? Sort of.
Yeah, it was. It was virtually straight after. Sorry, Stevie, I went steaming in there, pal. My apologies.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You want to add back in time?
No, it's fine. I was going to ask, did he ever say, or did you get any sort of inkling as to what the falling out was between him and the chairman?
No, I don't. I always try and think back now, and I can't even remember if we actually did. I think. Obviously Megson was quite he was an outspoken guy. He just sort of wore his heart on his sleeve. He obviously loved the club. Do you know what I mean? So, I think it was some sort of disagreement. Whether I don't know if he it's hard to remember, but if he was, I don't know, just a bit of tension leading up to it, and maybe Megson had said something in the dressing room, or whether something that was said in the dressing room before that game when we were all kind of sat down listening, maybe got back to the chairman. I don't know if one of the backroom staff or someone that's sort of snaked him a little bit and gone and told him, and that was kind of the final straw. But I guess he obviously had to keep him there for the derby game, because you kind of wouldn't go about sacking your manager kind of 2-3 days before that game, would you? Because that wouldn't look too good. So
I think we did at one point, didn't we? When Lukai came in, didn't we do that, Stevie?
He came in. Yeah. And we thought he'd actually be all right, and it turned out he was absolute dog shit. To be fair, that's another story.
Yeah, we in our heads, Chris, we won 0-0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've had loads of sort of we've done a fair few of these, and we always ask the question, the sell that Megson gives you. And I know the people that have listened to these on a regular basis, but I never get tired of the answers from you guys. What's it like when Megson pulls you into Hillsborough for the first time and he gives you the old taking you up the top end of the Kop and that sort of experience? How was that for you?
Yeah, like I say, it was all a bit of a rush for me. I think I was due to play in I think it was what was it called back then? I don't know, Carling Cup, I want to say, or something like that, for Rovers. And then the same kind of day, got the call, and just literally me and my agent drove up to Sheffield, got the contract signed, and I think it was the same evening. Wednesday we're playing Blackpool, I think, in like the first or second round of the cup, and I think it was literally like I went in, met the chairman, obviously manager showed me around the dressing room. The lads were all there because it was a match day, so I sort of went straight into it, watching a match like literally the same day. So because it was a cup game, it was, you know, there was probably 7,000-8,000 now or something, so it was a bit different. But you obviously, I mean, I always remember, because I tell the story now, like the first away game was Bournemouth, and we sort of trained on the Friday, and then I think in the afternoon we had to meet at like Doncaster or somewhere at the airport near there, and like got on like a private jet to go down to Bournemouth. And it was like last week I was like washing my own kit and stuff like that, do you know what I mean, and training on a field somewhere, and then next thing I'm on like a private jet, just like 25 of us traveling down to Bournemouth. So yeah, I think, you know, it was an eye-opener for me, just bearing in mind the two clubs were in the same league like the season before, but the difference in how things were done and just little bits of going in and everything being done for you, for me, was like probably realizing this is what, like, you know, being a proper professional footballer is all about, really, rather than, like I say, washing my own kit, training, you know, not even at a proper training ground and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely for me like a complete eye opener, really.
Did you get taken up the back?
Did you back yourself going?
Yeah, like the good thing for me is obviously Wednesday he'd actually tried signing me 3-4 months before that, so I knew like it was on the radar, but I don't know why I just didn't sort of take him up on the first chance, really. But I think looking at it now, it might have worked out all right, because obviously the season before, I think they finished like 14th or 15th, didn't they, in League One? And it was just like total disaster. And a lot of the players moved on, and he brought in like a whole new squad, didn't he? So I probably actually timed it to perfection. But yeah, I mean, like first, like I say, 5-10 games, it was tough, but he wasn't really playing me in my proper position. Like I was sort of playing out wide or like in the 10, because obviously we had like Prutz and Semedo, and we had like 3 or 4 centre mids already at the club. So it was, for me, it was just I'm playing, so just get on with it kind of thing. And then I think eventually I just sort of worked my way like into the middle and sort of cemented my place probably 10-15 games in, I reckon.
Yeah. There was some big players at the club at the time, and some big characters as well. I mean, you must have seen your fair share of mischief in the dressing room. I'm just trying to think who was there. You know, those players you mentioned there. You've got David Prutt and Jose Semedo. You know, you were in a midfield partnership at times that read out Coke lines as well. So you know what I mean. That's a hell of a tale there. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of, you know, we were going through a period where we were bringing through some of the youngers as well, like Tommy Spur and Beeves and players like that as well. I mean, at that point in your career, what were you? You were mid-20s then, probably about 26, 27, weren't you? So you'd done you'd had one of those old school careers where you start out at a smaller club and then move to what's perceived as a bigger one. Now, did anybody warn you? Did anybody go, listen, Chris, when you walk out on that pitch, like, this lot of fucking mental, like they're good. You drop your ass, they're going to tell you about it. Did anybody take you another wing, or were you too much of a grown up for that type of thing?
No, I think I didn't actually know many of the boys at the time. It was, if you remember, Danny Bath, the centre half, was there at the same time. He sort of just come in on loan, and I sort of roomed up with him. He was obviously younger than me, but I sort of got really friendly with him straight away, which helped me settle in. Clinton Morrison was great, to be fair. Like, I love Clint. He sort of took me under his wing, but he kind of took like everyone under his wing. Do you know what I mean? So he was like the biggest name in the dressing room, and even though he didn't play, you know, very much, he was a good influence on everyone. And I think it was just like, like you say, I'm 26, 27, like I'm a big boy at this point. So it was just it was just it was almost like proving myself all over again, really, because like I say, they've probably never seen me play. They probably never really heard of my name. So it was just, like kind of let my football do the talking if possible. And I mean, after 5-10 games, I was thinking like, shit, this could go one or two ways here. I could be like back on loan to like someone in League Two at this rate. But as soon as I got into the middle, me and Samido just kind of hit it off and just complemented each other perfectly, really. Like he did sort of all the dirty work and just went round smashing people, and then just give the ball to me and let me do all the fancy stuff. So once we started playing together, that was it. I think we played every game then till the end of the season, and it just worked out a dream. Yeah.
So I'm going to go there. I don't know if this resonates with you, but we've talked about sort of the early sort of sticky points and the difficult start to the season to an extent. There's one game that sticks out with quite a lot of Wednesdayites, and I'm going to go there. I think you played, or you were certainly at the club at the time. We went to Stevenage, and we lost 5-1. I'm looking at Dan's face now.
I was on the bench.
Physical pain to remember it, man. Like,
Yeah, I'm not going to obviously say too much bad stuff about Stevenage because I spent a year and a half there. Like,
they're not listening. They're not listening. Don't worry, you can go for it.
All right.
That was quite near the. I want to say that was like 4 or 5 games after I joined, and I was on the bench. I didn't actually get on, and which was. For me, it was buzzing at the time, but that was the only thing I will say is they actually done really well that year. Like I think they finished in the playoffs. So I think they beat us both games, didn't they? The only team to beat us both games that season. I think they beat us at Hillsborough as well. I think it was only them and Charlton maybe that beat us at Hillsborough. So they were just massive. Like they were physical. They had like centre half playing up front. They were just big, strong, and they just bullied us. And I think at the time it was like that was probably an eye opener because like from you two's reactions now, like Stevenage beating Sheffield Wednesday 5-0, like it's like Football Manager, isn't it? When do you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem right. And I think that was kind of like the kick up the ass that we all needed because. You're in League One now. There is no easy games, regardless of the players you've got in that squad. Which, to be honest, we did probably have the best squad in the league, and we had the best fan base in the league, and everything was there. It was just up to us as players to sort of get it together. And I think that was always going to take time because, like it always does, when you've got a bunch of probably 15 maybe new players. All, like you say, big characters, just lots of different personalities, and a manager who's, off his rocker at times. So it was just like, just chuck it all in the pot and just hope it works. And I think obviously, it kind of worked eventually, didn't it? So,
what was Megson's reaction? After that, we went on to win 5 out of 6. I think. I
think that probably was like. I probably imagine we might have been in the next morning, like watching that back. He was just, he was angry. Even when we'd win, sometimes he'd be angry. So it was, I'd imagine, I can't quite remember. I don't know if I might have been back outside, like doing my extra work, because obviously I was on the bench. So something must have triggered that, like you say, for us to lose 5-0 to anyone really. At that level, as a fan, it must have been like shit. Like, where are we going now? Do you know what I mean?
It's so far away, Chris. As well, it's so far to go to get your ass handed to you.
It is a long way. Yeah, you're right.
And we didn't get private jets, bro. You know what I mean?
No,
We're on British Rail.
I think it happened at Exeter that year as well.
It did.
We lost to Exeter down at Exeter, and we all had to get back on the train. And I remember all the fans like trying to get through to the like first class bit and try and just shout a load of abuse and that. So we sort of
actually
got through it in the end, didn't we? So
that gets listed as like, you know, like the worst away day that anybody's ever been on, that Exeter one. Was it snowing or something as well, or am I thinking of a different game? Was there?
No, it
Was there
might
one
well
where
have
we
been.
all
Yeah,
got trapped in the southwest and we got an absolute kicking somewhere? I
it
can't
might have
remember
been.
where it
Yeah,
was.
we got the train down, and yeah, obviously we a load of the fans were on the train coming back up as well, and yeah, we were just getting pelters, I think, and Megson was getting like the majority of them. So he's like, "We ain't fucking getting the train again."
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet that might happen again. So, so let's talk about Hillsborough and playing in front of those fans and stuff like that. Like we spoke to Raider Johnson, we spoke to Neil Mellor, and they've got not varying opinions. Like Neil Mellor was used to it, right? He's played at Anfield, he kind of walked out, and obviously he's got an affinity with the club with his old man, and then. But then Raider came out and he sort of said, he said, I was lucky because I was, the fans like me.
Yeah.
I was okay.
Yeah.
And later on during Raiders' tenure, we signed a player called Jacques Magoma. And he said, I really felt sorry for him specifically because when he misplaced something, the fans got on the back. So in terms of Raider Johnson and Jacques Magoma, where do you feel you sat with the fans? Like, you know what I mean? Because you got to do, like you said, right? You had Jose Semedo, who was a crowd favourite, doing what you'd call the donkey work, right? And you got to do the lovely, you know, defence splitters and stuff like that. I mean, did we ever get on your back at any point?
Do you know what?
Games?
No, it didn't feel like it. No, I feel like maybe they were a little bit more lenient on me because obviously I was sort of coming from lower down, and I think fans, a lot of the time, is as long as you're trying, it's not too bad. But then when you get to a bigger club like Wednesday, and the fans have seen all these brilliant players over the years, like they need to see a little bit of ability, and they want to see a little bit of something different. And I think they possibly saw that in me. And then when I cemented my place in the team, they were seeing that week in, week out. You know, I think I finished like highest assists that year in the league. And I was just, you know, I've always said it was probably one of my best seasons personally, like in terms of my performances. And so I think they got to see the best of me. And like I say, I played week in, week out. I was setting up goals, you know, most weeks. And I think in terms of like, I've always, even since I left, I've always had such like a good relationship with the fans. I think a lot of it was like I was sort of winding up some of the Sheffield United players at the time when I was there, and that was all in the papers and stuff like that. And I was quite active on social media back there. And I think like, I'm not really like the usual footballer. I've got a bit of a brain, and I was using social media kind of to my advantage to build that rapport with the fans. And, you know, if we won, I'd be like, oh, brilliant. Like, you know, and if we lost, I'd probably say the right things. And like I say, I was, you know, winding up. I think it was the captain of Sheffield United at the time. And that was all over the Sheffield Star or whatever. And I think because I backed that up.
Was that a conscious thing that you were doing there? Was that, I'm army out?
No, I think it was just like, just me enjoying myself. And like when I first started playing, stepping out of that pitch, like I say, I was so nervous. But once I was playing week in, week out, I was stepping out confident on that pitch and enjoying the fact that there was like 30,000 people there, because I was stepping out there thinking, you know, I'm going to be one of the best players on this pitch today. And that just sort of become a mindset for me. And that just helped me so much in terms of like confidence, and never really got any kind of negative feedback really. And that sort of carried on up until obviously I got injured and had to leave. And I always, you know, left on good terms, and still obviously now today I'm still, you know, I get a lot of, you know, friendly contact with Wednesday fans online and stuff like that. So I think a lot of it obviously helps. We had that season which supporters are just never going to forget, because we obviously, you know, pipped United to the automatic place, you know, pretty much last game of the season, won it. So as a fan, that is like an ideal season, isn't it? You're chasing them all year. then it comes to the end of the season, and I think they drew with Stevenage, didn't they? And in the last but one game, and then all we had to do was win, and we jumped in there. They didn't get it. Then they lost in the playoffs. It was like perfect.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what, I'm interested to go from this to this actually. So let's talk about the Wycombe game, because I'm intrigued to see where you went from these dizzying highs and the seas you just had, where you played virtually every game, to getting that injury and ending up at MK Bloody Dons. Like that was a hell of a trajectory for you, and I feel like the injury had a lot to do with it. But let's talk about. Oh, Steve has left us. Let's talk about. Let's talk about Wycombe anyway. Let's talk about the game against Wycombe. Where were you in it? Because my memory's hazy of it, and I don't want to ruin it by Googling it. So, I'd had a few lagers, and I was enjoying myself. Where were you during the entire celebrations and the Miguel Yera lifting up and
I was still on the pitch. I lost a boot, lost my shirt. I remember I always watched the last few minutes back of that game, and I think me and Danny Bath just ran to each other and jumped on each other. And then after that, it was just like, whew. And to be honest, the next 3 days were just a blur. Like, you normally say like, you go out the night after and celebrate. But like, there was probably 4 or 5 of us that did like 3 days in a row, and then about 4 days later, we were obviously all in Marbella for the promotion party, with which the chairman sorted out and stuff like that. So it was just just carnage.
Yeah, I was going to say, because of the way you watch what you're eating and what you're doing, the beer can really hit you quite hard as well. So I bet you were absolutely mashed up for 3 days, and then the hangover was probably 2 weeks after that, wasn't it?
Mate, you know what? That season we were out a lot. Like we had a great social life, and I think Tuesdays and Saturdays we'd socialise a lot. Like a lot of the boys would go out and have a drink and watch the football, whatever, on a Tuesday night, and then Saturdays after the games we'd do a lot together, like quite a lot. And I think that for me is obviously like one of the main reasons we started gelling so much, because you had all these people I think it's my birthday. There's like 9 or 10 of the boys there, and I'm thinking like, not long ago I didn't really know any of these lads, and then they're all out for like Clinton Morrison's at my birthday. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like and we used to socialise a lot and do a lot together, and for me that was what probably got that group of such different characters together, was going out and doing stuff together, because we all became really good mates. And once you're like that, the results on the pitch, like you want to do that bit extra for the man next to you. So that kind of helped, I think. And the end of the season was obviously a little bit more different, but we had a lot of enjoyable nights that year. Like, we weren't
And it's important, isn't it, to get to know your teammates like that as well.
Yeah.
Like there's genuinely, I feel it helps. I mean, so did you feel that when you were under Megson, you were encouraged to do that type of thing? Because he's very much all about personal experience and things like that, and how much Sheffield Wednesday means and stuff like that. Whereas Dave Jones came in with a different tack. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but Dave Jones was a lot more. He was a quieter man, wasn't he? And there was probably a lot more focus on the way you looked after your bodies and training and difference and what the pre-season looked like. I bet there was a significant amount of differences. Did you feel that by changing the manager when we did, that all of a sudden Tuesday night piss-up gang had started to dwindle away already? Or
I think obviously because when he came in, he didn't have a lot to do, did he? Like, no, the squad was there. The momentum of the form was there. He just had to pick the same team week in, week out. And I think like for the whole time he was in charge, we probably only had like 1 or 2 different players come in and play. He just kept the same team. It was probably the easiest kind of couple of months of his life. Do you know what I mean? But I think the next season, obviously we've gone up to the Championship now. So the squad changed quite a bit, didn't it? He started trying to get in sort of some big names that were dropping down from, ex-Premier League players. And experienced championship players. And I think for me, like looking at it, if we would have kept that squad that kind of went up all together, we would have probably had a more successful season. Obviously, it was a disappointing one for me because I didn't even get to start it. So, like even from not too much change, like Dave Jones was fairly relaxed. He wasn't like, you didn't tend to see him too much throughout the week. Actually, he'd sort of spend a lot of time in his office, and his coaches would do a lot of the training. So he was actually quite a bit more relaxed than Megson was, but I think everyone just had such a great relationship with Megson. It's sort of, like we'd come in on a Monday and he wouldn't be like, right, who was out? He'd be like, right then, lads, who was out? Oh, tell me all about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, tell me the stories. Like, what happened there? Like, who was out? And
yeah.
Whereas Dave Jones didn't have that didn't often come in the dressing room at training and have a bit of banter with the lads, whereas Megson would always be like having a laugh on the dressing room. So they were totally different characters and different managers. And yeah, obviously I didn't spend a lot of time with Dave Jones that season after. So
no, fair enough. I always wonder, what the difference was in pre-season where you've got Gary Megson making you all run through Grenoside Woods, and tying each other to bloody lampposts and shit on a night out, and then a season later you've got Dave Jones talking about nutrition and how many fights you're having, and doing drills with his coaches and stuff like that. I bet the difference is quite significant. So look, you've had a good season, and it's really easy as a manager, isn't it, to go, look, we need to strengthen for the championship, and your confidence as a team is up here. We've seen it with teams such as Leeds when they went sailing up the leagues. Southampton did it, went sailing up the leagues, and every time we've done it, we've kind of broken up a bit of a spirit. We had Matt Hamshaw talking about the team that went up in 2005. You yourself just now talking about that team that went up in 2012, and it gets broken up and it gets pulled apart. We've had it this season as well, where all of a sudden we've lost a bit of camaraderie, as it were. I think that's it. So you're in pre-season now. You're just about to start the season. You're just about to kick on, and you want to break into the championship, right? I mean, Christ, in 2 seasons you've gone up 2 leagues. Personally, this is an achievement for you. So tell us about the injury and how it affected that season going forward.
Yeah, no, I know everyone's always said, it's an old cliche, isn't it? Oh, if I didn't get injured here, I would have gone and played here. And like all the lads down the pub are like,
it's like the geese at the pub with the trials at West Ham. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stevie and I, we'd have been a right centre back partnership, the pair of us, but old.
Yeah, no, it was obviously went back for pre-season, just fit, feeling good after like obviously getting promoted. I was playing better than I'd ever played before.
You were looking trim as shit as well.
Yeah, even like pre-season we had some good games. I think we went over to Portugal and we had some. I think the last pre-season game was West Brom. They were obviously in the Premier League at the time, and I just felt great. And then literally started the second half, I just passed the ball and just something in my groin just. Like it was, I don't know, I've obviously never had it again and never had it before, but I'd actually ruptured my groin. So like 3 out of the 4 of my groin muscles had completely come off the bone. So for me, it was tough. I was probably close to signing the new deal. Like at the start of that season, I would have been playing championship football week in, week out, feeling great. And it just put me back. And I think just at the time, like living up in Sheffield, like being injured, you're in every day, like long hours. Like I hate the gym anyway. To be in that gym every day rather than running around out on the pitch was just carnage. And just sort of 2-3 months in, and I tried playing like a reserve game, still didn't feel right. And in the end, I think I just sort of said, I'm fit. I wasn't at all. I was probably 60% fit. I still couldn't even kick a ball properly. And because it was my right leg, obviously that was going to affect me. And I think I came back like 6 weeks too early. Like my groin was nowhere near enough. And you know, for me, it was first time stepping foot in the Championship, better players, better tempo, and I probably just killed myself because I kind of declared myself fit because the manager was actually kind of, you know, keen to get me back. He was like, "We need you back." Like, so I sort of said, "All right, obviously I'm not going to say no," but I was nowhere near fit. And obviously I came back, played. He probably thought he's nowhere near it, which I probably wasn't because of my injury. So I literally just, went on loan to MK Dons, played a few games, and in my head was thinking I'll come back pre-season and my groin will be completely better. I'll be fit. I'll be healthy. I'll be ready to go. And I think I came back pre-season and obviously he had different plans for me. So that was kind of the end of it then.
Did he?
Oh, sorry, Steve.
So I was just going to say, did you have that sort of frank conversation with him about, you know, I'm not quite right, so I'm going to go away, get fit, and then I'm going to come back? Or was it, I'm going to go away and show you?
I didn't.
Was there a level of conversation to have?
No, I didn't have any conversation with him at all, to be fair, until I was actually driving to Milton Keynes and he rang me and kind of said, like, just go and get fit, good luck. So I didn't actually have any sit-down convo with him before, and I didn't even actually have one probably ever again after that, to be honest. So,
and how did you feel about that?
At the time, I thought, you know, I'll go to Milton Keynes. It's an hour closer to Bristol, so I can get back, see the family and that a little bit more often. But come pre-season, I'm going back and I'm getting myself in that team. Do you know what I mean? And I came back and did like a week of pre-season, and looking around me, even at the lads they brought in, I knew, like, if I was going to be I should be the first choice alongside Semedo. I think was still there then. So, but he obviously just had different ideas, and in the end, obviously, it just sort of, obviously they were, you know, trying to get me out, and I wasn't going to like force my stay. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of those players who's just going to sit around, like, not even in the squad for like a whole year of my contract just to pick up my money. So I was, you know, like, I wanted to go play, and that was when I just sorted everything with Port Vale then. And yeah, I mean, you look back and you think, do you hang around and just try and get yourself back in the team? But yeah, did I want to still play under him? Probably not. So it was, you know, let's get a fresh start. And for me, it was just making sure I was 100% fit again. And as soon as I went to Port Vale, I was all good. So, but obviously at that point, they were in the league below, and it's, I've had all that kind of Hillsborough, and now I'm kind of at Vale Park, and that's it. Yeah.
Because I tell you what, there's an element of, if you look around at the centre midfielders that we had during that season, Dave Jones tried a few different combinations, and there must have been a point, which is probably why you declared yourself fit earlier than you did, thinking, I can break into this team. Because this is around the time of, Reece McCabe, Paul Corrie. You'd already kept putting out, in the previous season, so you'd already seen yourself over him already. Jose Semedo did a different job, but then crept in Kieran Lee at this point. And it's not like Kieran Lee, all right, he's gone down and he's gone on to great things with the club. But that specific season, it took a while to find his feet. And then we had, Nejic Peknik turn up and stuff like that. And you must have been sat there thinking, how the fucking hell am I not playing? And you thought at 60%, I could go out and be better than these guys out there. And at the end of it, you've probably gone, maybe that was a mistake.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah, those names you mentioned there. Yeah, I mean, that was exactly my thinking. 60, 70% me is going to have a better kind of impact on the game than a lot of those lads would. So it just, I think it didn't help. Obviously, results were going pretty shit at the time, and we didn't have a settled squad, and there was a lot of new faces in that. The whole kind of dynamic was disrupted that season.
Yeah,
we went
it changed
to the
a lot.
Championship.
It
And
did
like I
change.
say,
There was a lot moved on.
If we had had that group of players from the season before, 100% they could have done a job in the Championship with 2 or 3 tweaks, and that kind of team spirit I talked about just now, that can get you through, and the fans, I think, would have possibly preferred that, really, because the next season was just carnage, wasn't it? Like you say, the names of some of those lads there, like they were sort of different names like that coming in and out all season, if I remember rightly, and I think they sort of just managed to stay up, didn't they, in the end? But could have obviously been a different story, really.
Yeah, we never really covered the position that you played. We never really filled it, and we threw. I think I just listed off there 6 players, all giving it a bash, and it was a tumultuous time because we'd gone through this weird period at from 2010 to 2012 where we brought the kids in like Spur and Beavers et al. and Sean McAllister, but then also we've got a few randoms in like you said, Clinton Morrison. Mickey Gray, players like that who'd been there and seen it and done it. And then you were kind of, I feel that your first season was the start of something that was moving. And then that second season when Jones was in charge, there was not so much a clear out, but there was definitely a different tack that we were taking as a club. So did you feel like, this is a long way of saying this, I guess. All those players that I listed off, right? I'd have put you in the top 1 or 2 of, you know what I mean, of those 6 players. I don't want to cause these guys any disservice. So when you went to MK Dons and it was an exercise in getting yourself fit and all the rest of it, did you feel like you'd gone down there and thought, I'm going to absolutely tear this apart, I'm going to be bloody brilliant down here, as soon as I'm fit, I'm going back to Sheffield Wednesday, I'm going to run that middle of the park, like, you know what I mean, I'm going to absolutely smash the beans out of it. Like, did you have that thought process that you could have done that? Because we thought you did.
Yeah, 100%. I was still probably 70-80% fit for the whole time I was at MK Dons. I just couldn't get a few niggling bits in my groin sorted, but I was playing, and then I sort of said, right, let's just draw a line under that season, go home for the summer, and just make sure I'm ready to roll. Start a pre-season. Went back up to Sheffield. Obviously, I knew there was going to be a slight bit of, does he want me? Does he not want me? He was bringing in a lot of, kind of technically big names, and we had a few foreign lads come in, and like I say, he changed the whole kind of dynamic of that squad that was there, and. I think just obviously I wasn't really in his plans, and that was it. It does happen in football. Like a manager just gets something in their head.
I find that incredible, Chris, because when I look at some of these names, and I literally just got, I'm not doing this off memory. I've got Wikipedia in front of me, right? I'd put you above a lot of these names here, Stevie. You'll nod at these, right? All right. Ross Barkley came in, but I feel like that was towards the back end, right? So we'll give you Ross Barkley and Jose Semedo. Well, he did a different job, but he's in there. But if you look at these players here, right, we've got Say Olifinjana, who I forgot played for us, and then you've got Mike Jones, Stuart Holden, Diego Armando, Danny Pugh, who seemed to get 16 appearances somehow. And then Palmer's listed as a midfielder, but he was definitely a right back then. Then you've got Prutz, Corrie, Danny Mayer, Nejic Pechnic, Reece McCabe, all these players. You know what I mean? I'd have put you up there along this thing. And for you to, at the end of the season, to go, do you know what, Gaffer? We're gonna draw a line under this. So how does a mutual termination work? Someone has to broach it to start with, right?
Yeah, to be fair, I think it was during pre-season. I think the team were going down to St. George's Park to do a week's training or something. So obviously I was thinking I think they were staying down there in the accommodation and stuff. And then I thought, right, we'll get down there, another week of fitness. We'll show them I'm back and ready to rumble. And then I think it was one morning before training. I think it was the day before we were due to go. We came in after training, there was a whiteboard in the dressing room, and he put down a squad of people that were going to St. George's Park. And then on the right-hand side, there was 5 names, and I think it was 3 or 4 young lads, and there was my name was on the right-hand side, and it was these 5 players have to drive down and back every day to St. George's Park. So they're not staying with the squad. They have to drive themselves there and back. So I sort of had a shower. I thought, I'm not even going to give him kind of the gratification of going up and asking him what it's all about, because I know what it's all about. I've been in football long enough now to know what it's all about. He's trying to piss me off, so I sort of say, yeah, I'll take a pay up and I'll get out on the cheap. But I kind of that was it for me. I didn't go back after that. I think they were obviously down in St. George's, and yeah, I think I sort of just knocked it on the head. And sort of I said to my agent, look, I've got to get out of here. Like, I'm not driving back and forth to St. George's Park. Like, I've just got promoted like 2 seasons ago. Like, I'm not an under 18 like YTS who's buzzing to be like going down to St. George's to train with the first team. Like, that's me done. I was like, he's sort of taking the piss a little bit there, which obviously he was. And yeah, I think for the next couple of days I just didn't train, and my agent and the club were like back and forth, just obviously sorting out the finances. And
so there was never a conversation with him. He'd never give you any sort of justification.
Not at all. I didn't.
That's a
I don't know.
Trick, innit? That's me editing myself. Not from you, from him.
Yeah, no, it was it. You see it in football a lot, and I've seen it luckily before with I've always kind of been a mainstay in teams, but lads who sort of get on the wrong side of the manager, or they'll often train with the kids, or they'll train late, or they'll have to be in early, or they'll do extra running on the weekend, and you just know when that signal comes in, that's your time that like you're not wanted.
But this is the thing that you're saying this, Chris, and this is the thing that's sticking with me. You didn't actually do anything wrong. You played the majority of our promotion season. All right, you got injured and tried to come back early.
This is it. I mean, you just managers get things in their heads, and I think that's just like it. Sort of that was it. It was in his head. He kind of, whether they wanted to kind of free up some space on the budget or get another player in, or like you say, you mentioned names there that probably came in after I left. So he just, he's, I think overall his time, like at Wednesday, you can't really measure any of his kind of management ability or his success, because like I say, the season he took over, it was all there for him, wasn't it? It was just on a plate, just pick the team. Like I say, we didn't see him all week. He might just come out on a Friday. He'd sit up in his office, and the coaches would do a lot of the work. He'd come out on a Friday, pick the team. The team would go out and win, and then Monday we'd go again. Do you know what I mean? So I think obviously when it got serious the next season, it maybe got found out a little bit. I don't know. It just, like I say, probably should have kept a lot of that squad together. And yeah, I just thought, like to stick me on that kind of list of 5 or 6 lads that have got to drive to like Burton every day and back. Like, I'm not a kid. Like, you're taking the piss. I'm not even going to pull you up on it, because I know what you're trying to do, and it's just obvious now. So I'm out of it. Yeah,
that's genuinely really, really disappointing. Now, so went to Port Vale. Now, there's something that's been burgeoning on me when we spoke about getting yourself on the show. Now, Robert Page has done a shit job with Wales, right? He's got some talented players there. He's done a bit of a shit job, albeit, Ryan Giggs did cling on to that job longer than he should have done.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that called you, that he was disappointed in you on one of the games, wasn't he? This is the same guy, right?
Yeah, I think I got sent off, yeah.
And tell us about that. I mean, you had Butcher Dele Alli.
Yeah.
Which is where I'm getting to. But I guess what I'm asking is, Dele Alli comes across as one of those players that probably deserved it, right?
I don't want to say too much, because it's been a lot.
Your silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did, but
at the time, yeah, 100%. I actually obviously
at the time.
obviously played with him, didn't I, at MK Dons? So that was actually when I was at Port Vale back at MK Dons, and yeah, it wasn't my finest moment, but it wasn't probably, it was, the ref kind of got a little bit conned into it. So Pagey was, I love Pagey. He was a good bloke. He was like our coach, and then all the lads got on well with him, and he obviously got the manager's job. And to be fair, he could have probably fined me a week's wages for that, but he didn't. So he kind of just gave me a slap on the wrist, and got away with it.
Because coming back to Robert Page, he's renowned as a good coach. It's when he gets the top job, he's all of a sudden, there's question marks about him, because maybe he's trying to do that Gary Megson approach to get involved and work out how you all tick and get you known on a personal level and stuff like that. Do you reckon that's what it is?
I just think, like, obviously I've worked with him, and I think after the Port Vale thing, he went to like Northampton, which is obviously another club I've been at, and spoke to people there about him. And to obviously go from like League One, League Two clubs to then a national team, he's been there a while now, hasn't he? So I think the thing is with Hagee is his heart's in the right place, and he's passionate, and he's probably similar to how he was as a player. He's centre half who just headed stuff. He just put his body on the line, and he's like a proud Welshman, isn't he? So I think in terms of, getting that job, I knew he always worked like in the youth setup there and stuff like that. And maybe he was just like, the next on the chain. And I'd never say a bad word about Pagey, because I've got on.
Well, we will, because he played for Sheffield United. So you got that now, you know what I mean?
I forgot about that.
That's where it was all going. That's where it was all going. That's the punchline to the last 5 minutes.
I liked him. It was good.
So, Stevie, have you got anything else to add before I wrap this up? Because Chris went on to play for Bristol Rovers again. Took quite a step down in terms of level, I thought, Chris. I thought you were better than that, but I know obviously Bristol Rovers are a club that's close to your heart, and sometimes things are more important than what level you're at, and it's about how comfortable you are. Because what were you then, 31, 32, something like that?
Yeah, I think so, and it was just, obviously I'd spent 3 years up in Sheffield, 2 years up in Stoke, and it was just, I was sort of in and out at Port Vale, and kind of just the whole want to get closer to home. Would love to go back and obviously play for Rovers, and it was a massive gamble for me, really. Obviously dropping down to conference at the time, but it's one of those decisions that kind of worked out really well, because we literally got back-to-back promotions and back in League One 2 years later. So it kind of worked out perfectly, really.
Isn't it weird how these things come about, that we ended up in the same league as Bristol Rovers after all those years? What I mean?
I know.
So, Stevie, have you got anything to
add? Just one last one. Would you do anything differently?
I think it's only hindsight now, but leading up to that game in pre-season, I was like feeling a little bit stiff, like in around my hips and like my lower abs and stuff. And I kind of mentioned it to the physio, and I think it was just probably because pre-season was so tough. And obviously we had like one game to go, which was West Brom. And obviously I want to play, but I'll probably regret actually not going, do you know what? I'm just going to sit this game out, because then maybe I wouldn't have got injured, and I'd have had another week before the season started to maybe rest up whatever was going on in my body that caused my groin to just basically fall off. So whether it would have worked, I don't know. But in terms of like regrets, none at all. Probably not signing for Wednesday a little bit earlier when they tried getting me the first time. But then again, like I say, they don't have a great season. So just maybe. There's a lot more. It's just hindsight in it, but no regrets for my time there. Even with the, I'd say to myself, should I have just stuck out that, another year? But I was just, 3.5, 4 hours away from home, just to sit on, not even get on the bench, probably would have been the scenario. They would have been having me training here, there, and everywhere. Probably just trying to piss me off to make me leave. So it was. No, I've not really got any kind of regrets that how it sort of all ended, because my time there was so good. Apart from obviously getting injured, it was that one season I spent there, you know, where we got promoted. That's enough memories to last me a lifetime. So, it was brilliant.
Amazing. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it on that high there, because that was a hell of a season, and I'm still hungover from it right now. Yeah. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Have you hung up the boots now, or are you still?
No, I'm still going, mate. Still going. I actually got injured second but last game of the season, so I'm just sort of about 9 weeks into 12-week recovery now. So
in pre-season as well.
Yeah, just in time ready for pre-season. I might just try and long it out for an extra month, just so we can be fit for the start of the season. But no, I actually haven't got a club yet, but I'm sort of in talks with a few clubs around my way. And yeah, just sort of, I'll just keep going until the wheels fall off, so to speak. But I still feel fit and healthy, so that's the main thing, and we'll keep going.
That's absolutely great to hear. Thanks a lot for joining us, Chris.
Guys, thank you.
Join us next time, and see you later.
Top man.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4, live. I normally just turn up and phone it in.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Like,
That zero's gone, that goose egg's gone.
Also featuring player interviews. It's Mr. Lee Bullen, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. John Harps, ladies and gentlemen. It's Captain Fantastic once again. It's Mr. Glenn Lubens.
Oh, it's Mr. David Stockdale joining us this evening.
It's Mr. Lloyd Owusu, ladies and gentlemen, who's joining us live on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Carlton Palmer. How's it going, CP? You all right? Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us next season.
Put on your